I think it's an exploration of a legend living his later years and dealing with trying to understand that. And that's one sentence. You want to do the second one? Better one?
The last years of Salvador Dali and his wife Gala's crazy marriage as seen through the eyes of an innocent young man who's drawn into the art world.
That was a better sentence. That was good.
The movie came through Ed Pressman, who is my producer on American Psycho. And I was a little reluctant because I'd done a film about Warhol, but then my husband said, you can make this about a marriage, a portrait of a marriage. And so he wrote the script, and I was very excited by his take. It's also about Salvador Dali's, in his last years, and his fear of death and aging, and then looking back on his life in some flashbacks, and telling stories to young storytelling. Yeah. So it's the last years of the artist.
Yeah.
We went to Spain to do research, my husband and I, and we spent years talking about it and reading endless books about Salvador Dali and watching documentaries. And I mean, I think he's continually reinventing himself. Eternal childlike amazement with the world.
And you can see it in his art too. I mean, one of the rap gifts that I was given was just like a book of probably not everything Dali's ever made, but it's a really, really thick book. And if you just look at the beginning, it looks like his work has spanned hundreds of years, you know? And I think that sort of is emulative of him as a person reinventing himself and being original. And
I think he loved to provoke and astonish, and I think he did it for a reason. He wanted to wake people up. He wanted everybody to experience the world new every moment, you know, so don't fall into old traps. And that could make him kind of mean or play provocative. I mean, he loved to shock people, and he loved to surprise them. So he's and he wasn't always, you know, the nicest person. He could be very kind, and he could be very cold and mean. So I think we wanted to, right? And your characters
it gets to see all sides of that, which I feel lucky to see. But it's the spectrum of, you get to see him being a almost literal child and being creative and artistic and original and being cold and mean and slimy and used. He's a lot of things. There are no one adjective to...
Yeah, portrait of the artist, not, you know, in all his complexity.
Yeah.
And, of course, the marriage, you know, with the great actress Barbara Sakova. Sir Ben was attached to the project for about 6 years, you know, and he was very loyal and faithful to it through all the ups and downs of trying to get it financed. And then Barbara Sakova, I found sort of, I guess about a year before we started, I knew that I was thinking, who was the great Fassbinder actresses? You know, because that would be a gala, and then it was like Barbara Sakova, and she lives in Brooklyn, and you know, and she's
sweet
working, and she's an amazing actress. I have to say, you needed to have somebody who could really go toe to toe with Sir Ben, you know, as formidable and as you know, experienced and as great an actress. So
her gala was terrifying in the best way.
She's always hitting you, actually.
I don't know. It is special because they were both really wonderfully warm to me. Everybody was. It was a wonderful experience all around. But there's always that part of you that's like, wow, this is someone who inspires me. This is someone who is a giant, who is great, who is fantastic, and they're standing in front of me. And they're still standing in front of you when it's your coverage. You're still standing in front of them when it's their... And they're very generous as actors, and we're always giving 100,000% of themselves in every scene, every take. So it was, I don't know, there's no one word to describe that either.
It's kind of a masterclass. I was so happy for Chris that he's just, you know, he literally, this is his first professional job.
Yeah.
He had never been to Europe.
No.
So you were like James. You were like thrust into this crazy world. And experiencing it all, I almost felt like I was watching you be Chris Briney and be James at the same time, because you were just, it was...
That's what it was.
And really rough experiences, like, you know, really difficult scene on his first day where he had to do some acting, walking, you know.
Yeah, it was pretty brutal.
Which was stupid of me to say, yes, we're going to do it as a walk and talk.
But there wasn't much of an option.
Yeah, there wasn't really. But we had such a tight schedule, but so he was having this enormous masterclass in acting from two of the great actors of our time, and then, having to do it'd be in every scene in a movie that had to shoot in 5 weeks.
I saved my panic attacks for the night, so there was none of that was on set. It was great.
No, well, you were nice to everyone. Oh, well, I came to New York in '75, and when I was young, and got sort of onto the merry-go-round of exciting New York sort of bohemian life. And you get invited just because you're young. You get invited to parties. People say, yeah, come along, because you're just there, and you get on this amazing ride. A couple years later, then you realize, oh, I guess I have to get a real job, and the kind of merry-go-round stops. But I wanted to capture that kind of innocence, which for me was in the punk era, 75, 76, 77. But there was also, to me, I think of it as a really kind of fun and quite innocent time, in spite of like the sort of decadence that people might have associated with those kind of scenes. I wanted to bring in a certain innocence and hopefulness. And then at the end, you sort of see the good and the bad in those scenes.
It's unforgiving, but it happened.
And I think the message I want at the end of the film is, yeah, there were some good times, some very bad times, and my life is bigger because I knew these people.
Yeah.
No, I just remember. Oh no, I mean, he was kind of more upscale than I was a bit downtown, and his world was very much uptown. So I didn't get to the St. Regis, but I think he was more like the Warhol Studio 54 world.
I mean, there's a lot of things I think to appreciate about the movie. It's brilliant, and I can't watch it objectively because of myself, but I can watch everybody else objectively. And Serban and Barbara and Andrea and Mark and Zach and the work that John had done on the script and the work that you did with it. It's really beautiful. And I think my biggest takeaway, is the appreciation of the things that happen and the way that life will just move on. And I think the movie ends with a really sweet tone of life continuing, and appreciating that it does what it does, if that makes any sense.
Yes, I think it's bittersweet. It's kind of a tragic comedy, and it's tragedy because everyone's life ends in death with a tragedy of death. So it's a portrait of looking back, really, memory and the mixture of the joys and the pitfalls of a long marriage. I think they're kind of. There's a line we had to cut that was from a scene that got cut, but Andrea Pejic as Amanda Lear says, they're sacred monsters, and that's what Dali and Gala are, and they're in ways amazing, and they're also sometimes monstrous in their behavior, but they're like when giants walk the earth. They're larger than life, and we're glad that they happened.